this month, or the next 2 months, we're going to be talking, Jesus just beginning his ministry. And so we're just going to start walking that walk as he taught the people, this new idea, this new way of living. So the first step. And so I just want to read just a couple things, and this is in chapter 68, just to kind of get us on the same page. And Jesus is in Bethany visiting Lazarus and Mary and Martha. They're his cousins, and it's just a great place for him to go and just hang out because nothing's expected of him. They love him there, so he can just relax. He's just started, but people already know who he is. They're looking for this king, this Messiah now to really free them from the yoke of Rome, So they come and they stream into this suburb, they want to see him and everything, they want to see the king. And Jesus steps back and says, wait a second, I'm not the king, okay? Men call me Christ, and God has recognized the name, but Christ is not a man. The Christ is universal love, and love is king. The Christ is universal love, and love is universal king. That's a pretty good first step to wake people up, isn't it? And that's why I like this is the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ. And once we begin to understand that we are all in that process, Cheryl the Christ, Robbie, David, we're taking off those layers, those veils that dim our light, that keep us from expressing who we are. And they hadn't been expressing at this moment in time, so he's giving them some heads up of what's really happening, who he was. This Jesus is but man who has been fitted by temptations overcome, by trials multiform, to be the temple through which Christ can manifest to men. It's like, wow. So Christ is love, and I'm going to be the temple. I'm going to be this instrument that God's love can flow through. So they already are looking to him. They see he's, kind of intense. Okay? Then hear you men of Israel, here, look not upon the flesh, it's not king. Look to the Christ within, who shall be formed in every one of you, as he's informed in me. As he's formed in me. So he's telling them, these things I do, you shall do these also. So, and how did he get there? Through many lifetimes, many temptations, many overcoming of his lower nature. Pulling away so that light can be stronger and stronger and stronger, radiant through that physical vehicle, Jesus. When you have purified your hearts by faith, the king will enter in, and you'll see his face. And then the people ask, what must we do that we may make our bodies fit abiding places for the king? And Jesus said, whatever tends to purity in thought and word and deed will cleanse the temple of the flesh. So that's easy, isn't it? Whatever, that's pretty big, can be a pretty big list, especially when they were in the consciousness of being told what to do. What would purify them? They were in all these purification laws through that whole religious lifestyle that they were in. And so they follow the letter of the law. And Jesus is starting to bring the spirit to them, the spirit of the law. Okay? So they're in essence asking, what do we got to do? Give us some more rules. Give us another list. And Jesus, this is what Jesus says. Whatever tends to purity in thought and word and deed, cleanse the temple of the flesh. See? Whatever leads to purifying our thoughts, our words, our deeds, that's what cleanses the temple. So it's an action step. And so many people want to be saved by some outer energy. And he says, no, it's within. And you got to start bringing it out. And you have to start cleansing that temple. You have to start removing, transmuting that which limits your expression as the light. So once again, you know what you got to do, right? The collective right comes from the crowd. Right. because we all know what we have to do. See? There are no rules that can apply to all. For men are specialists in sin. Each has their own sin. Sin, that which takes us off our path to God. You see? We all know what takes us off our path to God. Sometimes our conscience might speak to us, wouldn't it? Hey, what are you doing here? This isn't supporting who you are trying to become. You see? So there's not this broad brush. In our hearts we know. In our hearts we know because there's that light of God, that spark of God that's within us all, that is there to guide us, okay? Until men reach the higher plane and get away from selfishness, this rule will give you the best results. So here's a pretty easy rule, okay? Do unto other men what you would have them do to you. See? Do unto other men what you would have them do unto you. And once again, that puts us in the driver's seat, doesn't it? Because it's how we treat others is how we're going to be treated. So once we begin to maybe love ourselves a little bit more, so that we could maybe expect greater love, greater light, greater joy, greater peace, greater prosperity in our manifestation, it's ours to give that. It's ours to give that. And these are all like radical concepts. Because they've been enslaved for thousands and thousands of years to this dogma. And that they weren't worthy, and the way that they could become worthy in the eyes of God is through these purity laws. And that's when they had their sacrifices and things like that. So they could buy back their purity, you know, like some doves or a lamb or something like that. And Jesus could never go there with them in that one, and he would tell them, you know, God doesn't want your sacrifices from the outer. Or this is what he'd say, give unto Caesar what's Caesar's, but give unto God the treasures of your heart. You see? It's not about the outer. It's about becoming aware of the inner, who I am, and then that's our gift to the world. In just its simplicity, in its uniqueness. But when people are told that they're unworthy, how much do you think they have to give? Do they think they have to give? They don't think too highly of themselves. There hasn't been too much hope in their world. Jesus brought them hope. And Jesus brought them vision. And it's really neat. So Jesus has given them a message of change. You know, change is upon us. You have to do it. And how do you do this? By purifying, connecting back with God. See, John the Baptist, he'd say, repent. Repent. Ooh, that's a heavy-duty word, isn't it? We shudder. We got some judgments coming on. No, repent. Turn back. Turn back to God. We've just been turned away from God. We've been turned away from God. And listening to false teachings, belief systems, memories, identities. So the true gift that Jesus gave to man was identity. Identity. God's your Father. You are a child of God. You're a spiritual being. And it's real powerful because this is totally radical at that time. It's radical now. Totally radical at that time. You know, and this is what's really neat, and I love it. And it's totally revealed every day. Like, this is at the beginning of the Piscean age, when all this is coming down, this expansion of light and love on the planet. This is who you are, you know, and this is what you got to do to get there. And John the Baptist, he had like a sledgehammer and a chisel, and he's going, he's trying to crack open the hearts of man that have been covered up with all this guilt and shame and unworthiness. So he cracked their heart open so that they could breathe a little bit. And then, so Jesus came. See, John was the harbinger for Jesus Christ. So then Jesus comes, and he can begin to reveal to them who they really are. Not what they've been told, who they've been told they are, what they really are. Spirit, you're a child of God. And so to walk out of all the memories and all the patterns that we have, he gave them homework to do. Just like if you come here and you do counseling with Cindy or me, you always get a sheet to take home as homework. Do this and come back in 2 weeks. We're going to ask you about it. How you been doing? You know, and the homework's not for us, and the homework wasn't for Jesus. It's for the individual soul. Because it's an action step. It's an action step. We want to move out of our head. Oh yeah, I understand that. But until we put it in our heart and start living it, it isn't real. It isn't real. So that first step that we have to take is to begin to understand who we really are. Who are we? Well, we're spiritual beings. We are the sons and daughters of God. Okay? And we have that energy, that essence within us and all around us. It's the energy with which we live and move and have our being in. So they were in the Piscean age, and they'd come through all this limitation and rules and unworthiness. Very emotional energy. And now we are at the beginning of the Aquarian age. And I mean, the parallels, those with eyes to see, are there. You know, just like the things that we are teaching here and that you guys are studying with here and reading here, it's pretty radical. It's pretty radical in a fundamental church. To just say Father, Mother, God, it's radical. To say Jesus the Christ. To say that Christ is universal love. And love is king. These are little sliced bread stuff that we just take in and partake in our consciousness. And we're going, yeah, because it feeds our soul. It feeds our soul. It makes us strong. It allows our light to get stronger as we go out in the world to do whatever we're choosing to do. Whatever our guidance from God is to do. And so to begin to understand that. So we're here now. So what about us? What can we do? And so they were working like on their individual consciousness to just get clear. So they get a little bit of light going out so they can start walking and then not judging and not separating. And now we move into this Aquarian age, which is age of spiritual enlightenment, an age of brotherhood. Do you see? Unity consciousness. We are one. We are one. Because when we begin to know who we are and join with others who know who they are, synergy occurs. We become so much greater than our individual parts. And that's how the transformation on planet Earth is occurring right now. And so we go, what's mine to do? So as they were moving into just beginning to understand who they were a little bit, so we're like a couple thousand years after that. Hopefully we got a little bit of that. And now we're going, okay, you're graduated up into this next octave. Start playing with your brothers and sisters. Your family. This is one family. And share your gifts. Share your gifts. Share what's in your heart. Give on to Caesar what Caesar's, give on to God the treasures of your heart. I love people that have taken classes here. We do the 3 O's. Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. God is omnipotent. God is all-powerful. So Jesus gave us these 2 laws. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with your whole heart, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Not bad. They had 10. And they had 10,000 before that. So we're making progress. So we can just zero that down to 1. Love. So love God with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. So omnipotent, God's all-powerful. Omniscient, God's all-knowing. Omnipresent, God is everywhere present. So if we are to love God, and to love God to see God, well, anything that we see as more powerful than God, we're not loving God, are we? We're dissing God. We're disrespecting the omnipotence of God. See how simple it is? Words are easy. They're cool. Love God. Love the all-powerful nature of God. When we look and see man or a country or a weapon or something that's all-powerful, it isn't. There's only one presence and one power in the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. So to look at things in our life that we might say is real powerful, and then we've surrendered to that power, and what we've done is we shut the door to God, our unlimited nature, the all-powerful nature of God, energy that can flow through us if we allow it. So love God, love that all-powerful nature of God. Two real interesting concepts is to learn about ought and not. We teach these in metaphysics. See, ought is God, not is creation of God. Okay? So the only thing that's real is ought. Not's not real. You see? Ought's real. Because God's created it and God's in that creation. We identify it and give the power to it. To begin to understand the omniscience of God, the all-knowing energy or aspect of God. So we have a situation or something that comes up into our life, to begin to go to God first and say, God, I know there's something here for me to see. See, reveal to me. Reveal to me what I need to see here. Ask. Ask God. And you know who you're really asking? You're really asking the Father within. You're really asking your higher self. You're really asking your higher self. That divine nature I am. That we are such a minute reflection of here. And if we want to be that full expression and manifestation, to follow that guidance from our higher self, our divine Christ that I am presence, which is God, energy. God's omnipresent. That means God is everywhere presence. So sometimes if we're somewhere and we're feeling fear, are we to fear God? No. So, God, I know you're here. You see? God, I know you're here. To begin to walk down that dark street at night, and a couple of people are walking at you. God, let me breathe real quick. Let me connect with God. God, I know you're here. I know you're with me. Did you see? And you know what? When you know who you are and you allow that love and heart to grow big and you start radiating out the love, well, that goes out into that manifestation. You know those people walking at you? Those are just two beings that are supporting you and getting stronger in your love. They're showing you that there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. When we walk in love, when we walk in the presence and power and the all-knowing of God, see, there's nothing to fear. And so we walk past them and they smile. We're ready for them to pull a knife out or something to rob us. Do you see? We go, whew. And we miss the gift that they have given us. They have just reflected to us a fear that we have deep within our soul that doesn't serve us, that keeps us away from God. Because aren't those two people walking at us children of God? Isn't God within them? So when we go and connect with them on that level, on that heart level, and send our love and connect with them with love, well then that goes into their heart and stimulates them. The higher nature I am, which is within them. This is how we create. This is how we co-create. When we begin to understand oneness, we become aware of it. Okay, we are one. That sounds good. Let's all work together. That sounds good. But once we begin to start working together, putting some of the higher truths through our instrument, through our vehicle, to really give God a chance, that's when we begin to understand it. We begin to understand oneness, that we are one. We are one. The law of one. How do we miss that today? I bet you guys are back there going, how do we miss that? Patrick's talking today. See? We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. One is helped, are helped. You see? Those aren't words from me. Those are energies from our heart. That's why, sometimes it's okay to do silly things like that. To say that every time. I'm glad to say it every time. Because it helps me remember. Because we all get busy in life, don't we? And get amnesia. So amnesia is kind of cool because we're all having an identity crisis right now. Because you know how the world was changing back in those days, at the beginning of the Piscean age, they're going into a new age, everything's rocking and everything. Well, isn't everything changing in our world right now? Wow. Just look around. Look around, and everything is in motion. Everything is changing. And that's a good thing. See, that's a good thing. Because sometimes we have to die to be born again. Sometimes we have to let go to receive greater. You see? And in our life, we kind of have been conditioned to resist change. It's comfortable. I'm not totally happy, but I'm comfortable, you see? And God's going, man, just come over here. Come over here, get out of the boat. I got a luxury liner over here for you. You don't have to row anymore. We've got an engine. Do you see? Well, we got to get out of the boat. We got to get out of the boat, keep our vision high, keep connecting with God. And we will be moved. We will be moved. I think that one of the greatest gifts that, like when you read about Jesus and listen to stories and everything, he said, those with eyes to see can see, those with ears to hear can hear. And to use our eyes to more than just observe. And to use our ears more than to just listen, but to use our eyes to see and use our ears to really be aware. Begin to use this instrument differently, but we have to ask, how do I want to use this instrument? Do I want to keep the same old program going? Been there, done that. It's familiar though. It's familiar though. So to begin to look at that. Like Jesus, he was so cool because he said, he's the Word made manifest. So he was demonstrating so people could just see him. They could see him. They could see him do this stuff. That he says, we can do this stuff. I have never read, and I read a lot of books on spirituality and Jesus, and all this good stuff. And I've never read where Jesus is with a group of people. He says, come here, think with me a moment. Jesus wasn't about thinking and intellectually knowing. Jesus gave a vision. See, he used his eyes to see people. He didn't go to his mind and judge and be critical of how someone's dressed or what they look like or anything like that. He went into his heart, the meeting place with God. And from his heart, he could see the heart of another. He could see who they really were. And when he could see people, he could heal. He could heal. So as we begin, and that's what metaphysics is all about, beyond the physical. Let's look beyond the physical. Let's look to that causal effect. Well, what's creating this? What's creating this? And why is it being created? And if we think too much about it, then we can go off on a bunch of tangents. So let's not think about it. let's be like Jesus the Christ, because he said that we could do this too. So we can begin to see people and trust our heart in what we're getting. And it may not be logical. You see what I'm saying? But what we're doing is transcending all the webs and veils that keep us from seeing who we are and who they are. See, no one makes us not love. We choose not to love. No one makes us not be happy. We choose not to be happy. And sometimes we think that that's so silly. Why would I choose that? We're learning. The experience of who you aren't will show you who you are. Perhaps that experience of unhappiness will be that last time we go, I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be happy. You see? Because there's been this subconscious thought, shh, I'm undeserving. You see? Subconscious. We're not hearing it. But our thoughts and emotions go out. Our thoughts and emotions are creative energies that go out. How about this? Our thoughts and emotions are infallible. Is that a cool word?
Yeah.
Infallible? Our thoughts and emotions are infallible. Wow, we're pretty powerful, aren't we? So, perhaps if we start looking at our thoughts and words, changing them to lift us up, and to lift up our brothers and sisters, instead of putting ourselves down and putting down our brothers and sisters. To lift up this planet. To lift up this planet. You see, that's what this age is all about. It's about us. And it's about this planet. To seeing how we are connected with all life on this planet. That all life has consciousness, whether we can see it or not. And the only way we can see it is with our hearts. See it with our hearts. That's the first step. So as we begin to open up our heart and begin to ask to see what's really happening here. What do I need to see here? What do I need to give here? So once we start operating on that level of consciousness, we begin to transcend our ego. As we move into oneness now, instead of separation. So, brotherhood, I don't think separation's in brotherhood, is it? Oneness. So, it's the walk, what we're doing. We're walking. We're walking out the past, patterns, beliefs, memory, into the now. You know, everything's eternal now. We just got to be here. Who am I now? I was this yesterday, I'm going to be this tomorrow. Who are you right now? That's eternal now. I am. I am. So, the easy first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're going to go on for the next 7 weeks and look at little aspects of who we are in our totality. And to be able to understand them. Because if we can understand, we can heal it, we can transcend it. Did you see? Understanding is a powerful word we can look at. So as we know how powerful and infallible our thoughts are, and then the teachings of the Christ, which are love, so we begin to love ourselves. See, it begins. This is our step, the first step for us, individually, to love ourselves. To love ourselves. And if we begin to truly love ourselves, and we can use those 3 O words, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, I bet we'll see things that keep God's love away from us, because we have given that to the outer, and we haven't embraced it within. We haven't embraced our omnipotent nature, our omniscience, and our whatever. present. So we all came together and we're all helping each other out. So as long as we allow our love to continue to flow, we won't kill the messenger. We've been doing that too long. We've been doing it too long. So we're going to just love. We're going to love, and we're going to accept ourselves. God's within us. God's within everyone, and we're going to accept others. You see? But we're going to connect with them on that level, on that heart level. And as we lift up our awareness, our consciousness, as I be lifted up, as we lift up that Christ within ourselves, we lift all men. See what I'm saying? Because we're seeing them. We're seeing them as the light of God, the love of God. It's a wonderful gift that we have to give. There's a God's in everything. Bear with me. Like, you can even see God on television. I like that. Oh, Patrick, you're crazy. We're not supposed to watch TV. No, just be discerning when you watch TV. Just discern. It's okay. So, I think in our consciousness and everything, one saint that we all love, Saint Nike. Right? Just do it. Just do it. You feel something that got it from your heart, just do it. Because when we start thinking about it, we go why we shouldn't or why we can't. So just do it. Powerful. Just out there in front of everybody. T-shirts, whatever, shoes, just do it. You see the swash, just do it. It's a symbol, just do it. Cool. So this is kind of a new one, and I think some of you probably saw it, but I saw it, I don't know, a couple days ago or something. And it's a commercial, but they take the word impossible, and it's about a school or something. And what they're doing is they want to give energy and a consciousness that everything's possible. But everybody go, that's impossible. I'm a single mother of 3 people. It's impossible for me to do this. Oh, I've got all these responsibilities. It's impossible. It's possible. Well, impossible. Crazy word, isn't it? Take it out of our dictionary. So this is what they did on TV. I am possible. Anybody see that? It's so cool. I am possible. See, I, God, am action. The next word after I am, watch out, it's coming. I am possible. Or I am tired. What do you think you're going to get back? More stuff to make you tired. But I am possible. I goes, thank you, God. I'm glad it wasn't just for me. I'm glad a couple other people saw it. But now you might see it. Just surf, don't look for it. But, so, I think there's the first step right there. I think that's the step that Jesus, the Christ, gave. I am possible. See? Because everybody's looking at him. Man, I don't know if I can do that. See? No. I'm possible. These things I do, you should do these and even greater. Let's go with him. And let's just close our eyes. And as we breathe, from your heart, once again, do that little mantra, God, I ask to feel your love now. God, I ask to feel your love now. And just breathe and feel that love just moving through your whole body. Feel that love cleansing your temple. Allowing you to feel love, allowing you to see love, allowing you to be love. And as you stand in your temple of love, the love I am love. I want you to look at your life. And if you see anything that you're making more powerful than God, look at it. Send it God's love. And know that God's within it. And that you can live in the consciousness that God is everywhere present. to just go out into any and all life avenues or experiences that might be taking you away from God a little bit. That might be keeping you from loving a little bit more. Breathe and feel your heart center, that God love center. And send love to that person, place, thing, situation. And trust in the all-knowing nature of God. Trust in the all-knowing nature of God. That you are good. That you are deserving of love. That the world is a good place. And the world is deserving of love. So just breathe and feel your energy, your radiant energy, a radiant sphere of love and light. Just radiating out to your world and radiating out to the world. We are one. And in the oneness I am. So just breathe. Feel God's love flowing through you. Breathe and know how loved you are. Breathe, and in your heart, say, yea, God. And just gently open your eyes. How easy is it to feel God's love? Anywhere. Is it time to trust the voice that lives within the heart? Only you can answer, and only you can start. Round and round this world we go, trying to get it right. While looking for the unseen, we miss what's in plain sight. Standing on a precipice beyond the edge of time, creation seems so simple. Its essence is divine. Spirit makes it easy, but we must do our part. For life unfolds just perfectly when we listen to our heart. Listening to our heart, your heart will never steer you wrong. Yea, God.